All right. Good afternoon, guys. So, back to reviewing the options. Been pretty spotty lately with the daily reviews. It's Christmas season. I'm also leaving on vacation this Friday. I was gone last Friday, so I'm not going to be doing these quite every day, but I'll do it today. Yesterday, terrible day trading options. Was a fairly large red day, not super large, but larger than other red days. Because I had a trade go from plus 150% all the way to red. Barely missed a perfect double bottom, beautiful price target. Didn't end up hitting that till later tonight. Today did the exact same thing, but it was during the futures session and not quite as bad. However, options today was beautifully profitable. Today was a very solid day trading options. Very nice bounce back from yesterday. Now, look at pre-market analysis. We had a liquidity sweep here on ES, which is rather bullish. I'm not going to go back and draw it out. But we also have a bearish liquidity sweep here. I had a decent amount of news an hour before market open, but not really much. Not really much bias this pre-market. If we drop, I don't really have any good trades. But if we come up, then I'll have okay trades. I'll be able to take liquidity momentum to the highs and whatnot. And that's kind of what happened. So first candle market opened. And I immediately filled half size calls here. Now, NQ was clearly stronger than ES. ES had a very small pivot here, and you guys know price action has a tendency of chasing the nearest point of liquidity. Here it is. So realistically, I'm thinking, okay, ES has a pretty good shot to get to here, which means NQ should be somewhere up here by that time. Now, I have to go half size on any time I enter on the market open candle. And so that's what I did, half size. Oh, I did not click that. There we go. Pretty much got there. Got there fairly quick. Trimmed a bit. Then we fell. And I was going to re-add. Let me hang on. I gotta read my channel because futures was a pain today for two. It was like 2 hours of torture today. I'm not gonna review that in this lesson, so I forgot exactly where I did. I trimmed some profits here, not much, like very light trim. I think I got like 18% gains on this candle because ES did hit my PT, but I really liked NQ strength. Was a really big fan of NQ strength. And I pretty much said, not here. Here, if this drop invalidates, I'll be re-adding calls. Well, it happened like during that candle. I re-added calls during that candle. I filled them. I'll just draw it. I filled them roughly here. I don't know if I got a really good fill, but they go up a decent amount. 56% gains here. So I trimmed some more. And it never came back up to full size. I just re-added pretty much what I trimmed. So this stayed a fairly small position. And then I moved my stop loss up to here as a pretty hard stop loss. ES looked like it wanted to drag NQ down to NQ low of day, and that's what I called out, and it did work out. So I stopped out on this candle. Now, I had trims for 56% gains, and I stopped out for minus 11%, but only averaged like 18 to 20% gains on this trade, and it was never a full-size position. So what I made on this trade was the equivalent of like 10% on a full-size trade. Really not much money made at all, but an okay trade, not bad. And here I pretty much said QQQ puts look good, but I'm unable to get triggered in. Unfortunately, I'm unwilling to go against the demand that ES is in. But ES ended up sweeping liquidity. At least I thought it did. Yes, it did. Right here. So we swept buy-side liquidity Beautiful liquidity sweep. NQ stronger than ES. And we got a volume spike and a decent little buying wick. And we invalidated a majority of that red candle. I refilled calls here. Now I entered half size because it's a reversal trade. It's fairly risky. I filled calls at 52 cents. And really, I was looking for this high or this one. It didn't really matter. This is a perfect double top on ES. It's not a huge deal though, because the pivots are fairly close together. If they're wider apart, then it's a much bigger deal. But that's not the case. So that's kind of where my PT is at the moment. And I also said I'm going to average up if we invalidate 50% of this drop or a majority of this drop. And that happened literally this next candle. So right at the start of this next candle, I averaged up, and I actually averaged up pretty heavy. I didn't even drop the amount of contracts because I didn't really have time to. I didn't expect it to explode so high. So at this point, I'm in bigger, a little bit bigger than a full-size trade. And yeah, waiting for my first PT, which was ES. It hit, and now I'm not selling there, so I end up selling at supply. And you guys could go back in my channel and see me kind of extend my PT. That was beautiful. That's pretty much where my day concluded. 180% gains on that trade, and I sold nearly the entire position at that value, roughly 180%, right when it hit supply. Now, I left a tiny runner position in, which I sold, shortly after this, but it was beautiful. And the supply and demand indicator worked fantastic today. I usually don't trade just off the indicator. I never trade just off the indicator. But its confluence to my strategy was fantastic. And I did say, we do have this pivot cluster up here. If we bullishly consolidate, it can be a good trade. And I sent a TA alert, which was if we came down one more time and then came back up. So if we invalidated this drop, it looked good for calls, but it actually never happened. We actually rejected supply and went all the way back down to demand. And this is kind of where my futures trading started with this perfect double bottom here that did not want to break until like 2.5 hours later. Oh, but that was my day. 56% gains, what you could have made on the first trade. Unrealistic, though. I made a pretty small amount. Well, what's very realistic is 180% on the QQQ trade. But keep in mind, it was only 180% gains from the initial alert entry, half of my trade. Obviously, I got much less percentage gains-wise because I averaged up. But I don't formally alert my average ups because A, it's too much work. B, if I do that, more people that aren't actually psychologically skilled enough to average up are going to do it, and they're not going to be able to stop out. They're not going to be willing to stop out if it comes back down, God forbid. And I tell you guys before I enter the trade, or right after I enter the trade, if I plan on averaging up, where and what circumstance, under what circumstance will I average up? And I tell you guys if I average up, so that's plenty enough for all the people who do not act like sheep. But yeah, very solid day today. Very great bounce back from yesterday. And futures, not so much. Futures was terrible just like yesterday. Not quite as bad, though, but it was still pretty rough. But I have everyone in here. Does anyone have any questions before I wrap up this quick options trading review? Denaro says, great day. Denaro, were you in live voice with us this morning? Were you there for that live? And for everyone that's watching this doesn't know, I'm live trading for free this entire week. Well, not entire week because I leave on Friday, so 2 more days, but got a lot of people trading with us. We have a couple of people typing. I'll let them type. I'll wrap this up. Also, if any of you guys attended any of the 3 recent master classes or you got the recording, major website update rolled out, and it is now in 4K. So when you log into the website, and want to watch that recording, it is in 4K, which is a huge upgrade because for some reason YouTube was limiting it to 720p, but the custom player fixed that. Are you trading next week? Not really. So yeah, here's the thing. I'm leaving on Friday. I'm going on a Christmas vacation, and I get back the 23rd, which I believe is Tuesday. So I'm not going to trade Monday or Tuesday. Wednesday's Christmas Eve, and then Thursday's Christmas. And then might as well not trade Friday. We'll see. We'll see how Friday is, but yeah, my trading view just stopped working. for some reason. So yeah, not gonna be much trading. Next week is gonna be my most inactive week in a while. So Land says rewatch the video for the last one yesterday. Okay, Land, if you want to check, you I did it last night. So if you go back to the video right now, just refresh your browser and then go back to the video right now. You'll see a major difference in the quality because they're recorded in 4K. I was really frustrated that they were such low quality, but we fixed it. Sad says I end up catching the 8:30 a.m. news and decide not to trade. Okay. Yeah, Top Step had a lot of issues today. And he didn't miss much because it was just a choppy mess. All right, sweet. Well, I'm going to post this to YouTube real quick. I'll ping you guys when I do. And then I will quickly review my futures trades today. I'll show you guys with what I'm struggling with, what I'm going to resolve, how I'm going to resolve it, so on and so forth.